Hi, Andy here. During the holidays, I went back to my hometown to visit my parents. It's a very peaceful place and there's not much to do. However, one thing's for sure. On Sundays, we have a traditional South Brazilian barbecue. And this is what my dad, not me, will cook for you today. We'll have a few different meats on the barbecue, but one of them, chicken thighs, will require some prepping the night before. Dad will stuff the thighs with a piece of bacon, so he needs to debone them, remove any excess fat and skin, season, and get them ready to cook tomorrow. This takes quite a bit of time, hence why we're doing it the night before. Our barbecues have a lot of steps. There are other things to prepare and other meats to season in the morning, so it's always better to save some time where you can. For the seasoning, Dad uses a mixture of salt, turmeric, garlic powder, white pepper, and dry parsley. Keeping your stuff clean is a must, especially when working with meats like chicken and pork. Well, the most labor-intensive part, which is the deboning, is over. So now, all that's left to do is cut the bacon and stuff the thighs. Once the thighs are stuffed, they are secured in place using toothpicks. And with everything ready, we're done for today. See you in the morning. One of the meats we'll cook today is a beautiful piece of lamb shoulder. So we're kicking the day off by preparing the lamb seasoning. The seasoning basically consists of salt, pepper, sage, and rosemary, all smashed together using a mortar and pestle. Well, the seasoning is actually made up of two parts, a sort of basting liquid and a dry rub. Both use the same base of herbs and spices, but the basting liquid also has white and red wine vinegar, olive oil, and water. For the dry rub, Dad will repeat the same steps, but go a little heavier on the salt. Now take a good look on this beautiful piece of lamb shoulder. This is looking absolutely amazing. Here we already used the basting liquid to get some moisture on the meat, just so the dry rub can stick to it. And I know the internet goes a little crazy when they see someone cooking using their hands, so let me say this. Calm down. This is not a restaurant. This is a father cooking a meal for his family. And just like we don't use dirty plates for eating, we also don't use dirty hands for cooking. But well, while Dad works on seasoning the meat, Mom is taking care of the traditional side dishes, like cassava. If you don't know cassava, it is a white, hard root which you have to boil for quite some time to be able to eat. The starch present in cassava is very well known worldwide as tapioca. Lamb is the meat that takes the longer to cook, so before seasoning the rest of the meat, we'll get the fire started and the lamb cooking. There's a big difference in flavor from using coal or wood in your fire due to the smoke each one produces, with coal being more neutral and wood adding more of a smoky flavor. Personally, I think that barbecues made with wood have a more distinct and unique flavor. A big difference from our barbecues and most barbecues you will find on YouTube or even barbecues from other regions in Brazil is that we use skewers instead of placing the meat on a grill grate. There's a certain level of planning with a barbecue like this that to me is fascinating, and it involves some skills that you only acquire with time. Things like which meat should go in first, how hot you keep the fire, when to place the meat higher or lower on the grill, and even how much wood or coal to start the fire, so you don't need to refill it midways. Another classic side dish is potato salad, and I'm biased to say so, but my mom makes the best potato salad in the world. Instead of mayo, she uses a mixture of whipped egg whites, yolks, and oil, which just makes it super light, fluffy, and delicious. For beef, we have two beautiful cuts, ribs on the left and a flank steak on the right. On our barbecues, beef is traditionally seasoned only using coarse salt, which melts during the cooking process and penetrates the meat. And although it may look like a lot of salt, the excess is beaten off prior to serving. Skewering big pieces of meat like these require a bit of skill. You cannot just shove the skewer inside the meat and call it a day. You have to do it so in a way that the meat stays firm and flat on the skewer, so it can cook evenly on the grill. You can't have, for example, dangling pieces of meat, otherwise they'll burn. Different cuts are also skewered in different ways. For example, a boneless and thinner cut like flank steak can be firmly skewered by going up and down on the meat. With ribs, on the other hand, you can leverage the bones themselves to get the skewer in. So you place the meat with the bones facing down and run the skewer right above them. A bonus trick is that you start cooking the ribs with the bones facing the fire, because as meat cooks, it firms up, securing the skewer even further. Another important aspect of this barbecue is that we never cook with open flames, always hot coals. The goal is to cook slow and steady. Chicken cooks quite fast, so it is one of the last meats to go in the grill. Skewering stuffed thighs like this is no mystery, since they're already quite firm from the toothpicks. So you can just run the skewer right through the middle. Every once in a while, Dad will take the lamb out of the grill to baste it with the liquid we prepared before. This will happen around 4 times throughout the cooking process. Lastly, we'll have sausages and garlic bread for appetizers. They go in the grill lastly since they cook quite fast. The sausages take about half an hour to cook, and the garlic bread only a couple of minutes. The dripping fat plays a role here. As it drips on the hot coals, the fat burns and intensifies the smoky flavor of the meat. The smell of barbecue you get around the grill is absolutely fantastic and unlike anything you've ever felt. I also feel like I've neglected to talk about the grill itself. I don't know if you've noticed, but this is not a portable grill. It is actually built into the house itself. It's a masonry grill attached to the wall. And this is not a quirk of my parents' house. This is extremely common here in the South. You'll find masonry barbecue grills like this even on apartments. This goes to show just how much barbecue is an integral part of our culture. As I mentioned before, the sausages cook quite fast, and even though they were the last to go in the grill, they're the first to be taken out. They'll now be served with the garlic bread. Another staple of Brazilian cuisine in general is farofa, which is coarsely ground, seasoned, and roasted cassava flour. Yeah, the same cassava that's cooking on the stove, the one they make tapioca with. And as everyone started to get real hungry, the meat was ready. Now, it's time to unskewer and cut everything. We'll start with the lamb shoulder, which is not necessarily an easy meat to cut. Luckily, this one is so tender that it is basically leaving a clean bone behind. Next in line is the chicken thighs, which do not require any cutting. You just take them off the skewer. As I mentioned before, the excess salt is always beaten off the meat prior to cutting and serving. This ensures you don't end up getting a crunchy chunk of salt while you're eating, which, trust me, is not pleasant. Now, I know the internet doesn't particularly like well done meat, but I need you to understand something. My mom doesn't like rare meat, and neither me nor my dad will disobey mom, so well done it is. Also, I said well done, not dry. Look at this. The beating is also repeated on the flank steak, which honestly is looking even more beautiful than the ribs. This meat was so juicy, tender, and delicious, it was really something else to eat. Last but not least, this is what cassava looks like after cooked. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you got to learn about something new and unique. It surely was a pleasure to us to share a bit of our culture with you. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could like and subscribe, and I see you next time. Bye!